This is how to handle the objection. If you've ever encountered a situation where you get to the end of a sales call and they say, I need to go talk to 3 other competitors, this video is gonna help you with that. This is the #1 objection that kills deals. I need to speak to a few other companies first. In this video, I'm gonna teach you guys and train you guys exactly how to beat this objection once and for all. If you guys don't know me, my name is Drew Long. I've been in the sales game 12 plus years. I run the company Sales by Tomorrow, and I've helped individual salespeople achieve over 70% close rates for greater than 14 months. As the screenshot somewhere on the screen is going to demonstrate to you, so you guys know I'm not full of it. I've also scaled sales teams up to 150 sellers doing over $81 million in profit, not revenue, per year. That is where I gained all this knowledge, and that is what I'm sharing with you today so you can get similar results. So let's get into it. So here's the situation. You get to the end of the call, you feel like they love the presentation, they love you, they're ready to move forward, and then they say the dreaded, hey Drew, we love you, we love everything, we just need to talk to a couple other companies first. Or we have 3 more conversations lined up already, and we need to speak with them before we make our final decision. And your stomach drops. So what are your choices here? At this point, you have one of really 2 choices. You've probably been taught how to handle this. #1, you can try to convince them not to go talk to those other companies, which of course is not going to happen. Or #2, you just say, that sounds good. When are you going to be done with those conversations? Let's book a follow-up after you finish talking to all those companies. That means you're going to lose control and likely never hear from them again. Because as you probably know, the future conversations that they're going to have are going to define the terms of the relationship in totally different ways. They're going to pitch against whatever you told them, whatever 2 or 3 things they remember from speaking to you. The other companies are going to come in and be able to completely crush whatever it is that you said, sell against it, and then that's right, they're going to go with the other companies. So let's fix this problem. What you've got to do is stop trying to win the calendar and win the criteria instead. Here's what I mean. If you're the first call, obviously you're not going to get them to cancel the rest of their meetings. That is low probability. And if you try to force it, you're going to lose credibility. So instead of trying to win the calendar, you're going to win the criteria. What is the criteria? The criteria is the decision-making criteria they are using to make this decision. So on a recent coaching call, I had someone complain to me, Drew, we're always the first company they speak to. That sucks. They want to hear everyone else out. And this will be especially true if your team happens to be really good at speed to lead. If you're in the type of competitive industry where someone puts in an ad on an ad form and it goes to 15 different service providers, this is common in home services, for example, or if you're just in a situation where people call 3 different vendors or 5 different vendors as a matter of course, and if you have the best speed to lead, then they're going to talk to you first. So you could throw in something right there about like, hey, well, does it actually matter to you at all that we are the first ones that reached out and got back to you? That could play in your advantage and your favor. If you do know you have great speed to lead, that could be something that's important to them. But if you are the first, good. Let's turn that to our advantage. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's the move. If they say, I have 5 more calls booked, you're just going to switch from persuasion to criteria capture. You're going to say, totally fair. Just curious, before you take those calls, can I ask what's most important to you in making this decision? And you can even go through a list of criteria factors that they have in their minds of like, okay, tell me what's most important to you. Is it price? Is it service? Is it quality? Is it duration of contract? Is it flexibility? Is it customer service? Is it something else? And you can actually go through and have them rank order or have them share with you the details of what is actually going to cause them to make the decision versus not make the decision. Now you're not fighting, you're framing. Then, okay, here's another powerful one. I've seen this work very well in situations where it's you only have time for a one-liner before they get off the call. It's at the very end of the call and they say, yeah, we're going to go talk to 5 other companies. I've got to hop in 2 minutes. Anything else before we finish up? Literally say this line. Okay, what would the next company have to say for you to say, screw company X, which is your company's name? And I've seen this work so well. Oftentimes the prospect will want to hire you on the spot because it's such a good sales line. But what you're doing with that is you're defining the decision filter, the decision-making criteria. And if you've done your job correctly in terms of framing the whole call, the filter is going to favor you. So what this is doing is it's defensively positioning your company by locking down the decision criteria before you go shopping. We're jiu-jitsuing the disfavorable position of being number 1. And because we're number 1, now we're using it to position everything downstream and take responsibility for how they're going to be shopping and how they're going to be making their decision downstream. The fact that we speak to them first means we get to define the terms of what is a good versus a bad vendor. It also could give us the opportunity to educate them on the industry, educate them on what the other vendors are likely to pitch them, and therefore pollute the stream, so to speak, downstream of our call. Now, this has worked so well for me in the past that I've even got a sample decision criteria spreadsheet down below you can take a look at or use that completely for free. Just go ahead and put your email in the link right below this video. And it has, I think, like 50 or so criteria that you could then pattern match on or you could compete on. You're not going to use all of those for your particular service or product, but it's just to get your wheels turning and thinking about, well, how might people potentially make decisions based on vendors? And this is how I'm going to help start shaping shaping the narrative and the decision-making criteria for those people. So that's number one. Number two, turn your differentiation into questions. Most salespeople make the mistake of, as soon as they hear they've got competition, they just start pitching harder. We're the best. We've been around the longest. We have the most 5-star reviews. That's a mistake. Don't state your differentiators. Turn those differentiators that you know are a strength of yours into questions. Instead of saying, oh, we're so good, we have on-the-ground recruiters in Latin America. Ask, is it important to you that a company have actual on-the-ground recruiters in Latin America, the place you're maybe hiring from? Now they're going to say yes. And that's going to go into the decision-making criteria. And now you've poisoned their mind against anyone that doesn't have, guess what? Yes, on-the-ground recruiters in Latin America. Instead of, oh, our pricing model is more flexible. You're going to ask, does the pricing model flexibility help you in your situation? And they're going to say yes. Again, further cementing your benefits as the values they're actually searching for. You're not telling them why you're better. You're making them verbalize why they prefer the attributes that your product or service has. They're literally voting for you with their answers. When prospects are new, they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting the risk of committing without a comparison set. So this move is just giving them the correct comparison set by which to judge all your competitors. And if you have any kind of good product or service, your competitors should be coming up short versus your offer and versus your attributes. What you want them is when they go talk to competitors, they should be unconsciously or consciously scoring everyone else against the very high bar that you've set. That is how you're going to actually win. Along with this very next trick, this is one of my favorite moves. This is the favorite close. This is a trapdoor straight back to you. So here's how it works. They're going to say, I've got 3 other calls booked. I have to take them, just out of my integrity. I told them I'd show up on the call, so I have to show up on the call. Never mind that they no-showed a bunch of other vendors before you, and they might have no-showed you, and you had to reschedule 3 times. Don't worry about that. They have to be in integrity and show up on these future calls. You say, hey, no problem, Mr. Customer. Totally fair. Can I ask you a quick favor? And they're going to say, yeah, of course, true. The phrase is going to drop defenses. And you're going to say, hey, if someone offers you something better, maybe a better guarantee, better pricing, better terms, better customer service, lower contract length, whatever it is that you want, would you do me the courtesy of coming back to me and letting me know that they beat us out so that we could see if we could even potentially match it or even beat it? Not promising we can, but would you give us a chance to be competitive? What just happened? You removed pressure, you gave them permission to go shop, you demonstrated confidence, and you locked a return path back to you. You didn't beg, you didn't argue, you didn't supplicate, you just gave them a trapdoor straight back to you. And you positioned yourself as someone who expects to win, which is important. That energy is going to help. It's going to make shopping safe for them while keeping you in control. And it prevents the classic outcome where they disappear when they choose somebody else because they don't want to disappoint you and let you down and disrespect the relationship because you were so great on the call. Now, of course, in order for this to work, you have to have an actual mechanism in the business whereby you could beat a competitor out if they offered different pricing or different terms or what have you. Or if they come back to you and they offer you and they tell you what the better offer was, you should be able to knock the support out from under it and say, oh, well, this is why this doesn't matter. This is why we don't do it this way. This is why this looks like a benefit, but is actually a defect. That should be something you should be competent and capable doing for all your competitors if they do bring back an offer that might sound better, but actually isn't. So that's the favorite close. Number 4. Now this is how to deal with if you know they're competitors or if they name competitors. There's a couple different ways to mess this up. So you want to make sure that you follow this exact script and this exact approach and tactic right here. So sometimes they'll say, yeah, I'm speaking to XYZ company. And this is where most reps are either going to freeze or they're going to start trash talking and saying, oh, well, you don't want to go with them because they're XYZ and they're too expensive and they haven't been in business as long as we have, or they're run by a bunch of crooks or whatever it is. Don't do either of these things. These are wrong. Use controlled contrast. So step 1 is education. One thing I'd be sure to check, are they doing background checks? Are they actually vetting candidates live? What's their guarantee? Make sure they have one. Those are some things you might want to ask them. Now, again, you're setting the criteria. You're helping them evaluate these other vendors. Number 2 is a subtle contrast. You're not going to attack. You're going to throw some shade. You're going to say, interesting. I've heard some things that concern me. I've heard that they do X, Y, Z. And here you're not going to want to directly attack and say, I've heard mixed things. You're going to want to mention a specific thing you've heard using social proof from other people. You wouldn't accuse this company, but maybe someone else accused this company and told you that they did this thing that was less than ideal, right? It's no drama. You don't look threatened. You look informed. You're just saying, hey, I've heard some off-color things about them. I heard that they did potentially X, Y, and Z. But again, it's just hearsay. I don't know if that's true. You just might want to check on that when you talk to them. Now, what to do if you know the name of the competitor? You know the competitor. You know specifically what they do. So still don't attack. Do this. Give them questions to ask that company based on your knowledge of what their strengths and weaknesses are. So if you have a really big competitor in the space and you know that they're better than you at XYZ, but they're worse than you on ABC, you would want to give the prospect questions about ABC, about the weaknesses, or give them questions that turn the competitor's strengths into weaknesses. You see how that works? It's all in the framing, and because you're speaking to this prospect before they speak to competitor X, you're able to ask them questions that frame competitor X strengths as weaknesses. A quick example would be, oh, well, they're much bigger, so you're just going to get a junior account manager. You're not really going to get a real expert or subject matter expert on your account. They're too big, and their cost structure doesn't allow that. So that's why they churn so many companies. They're big, but they churn a lot of companies. That's what I've been told, at least. That's the experience of people that have come to us after working with them. 2, and then here's another trapdoor. You guys are going to love this. Be prepared for them to ask you, what would they say I should ask you? So in this scenario, you're saying, hey, so you're going to go to company X, that's fine. Just be sure you ask company X about thing Y. And they're going to say, okay, cool, I'll ask them that. But then what would they say I should ask you? And now here's where you should have a prepared answer. You should have thought about this beforehand. You should have a prepared answer that turns your weaknesses into a strength. Like, oh, well, they'd probably tell you to ask me how many years I've been in business and how much staff I have on my payroll. And I would tell you my staff is 1 because I'm completely committed to your success, or something of that nature, something where it takes something that others might frame as a weakness for you and frames it as a strength, a benefit for your prospect. So that's how to deal with named competitors, whether you know them or whether you don't. High status behavior wins here, guys. Don't go for low blows. Don't take this as an attack. Don't go on attack mode. You just need to add some subtle shade via hearsay. Always frame it as hearsay, not, oh, I've done Oppo research on them and I know that they suck at this. Say, oh, people, I think I've heard of them. People have mentioned that they did XYZ to them and then they left them because they were doing this other thing that they didn't really like. But I don't know. That's just what I heard. I don't actually know. I've never spoken to them myself. Another thing, I'll give you guys this bonus. If you have a big competitor in your space or any just named competitor at all, if someone says, oh yeah, we're actually going to talk to Acme Corp after this, one of the best things you can do to the start is just say, who? Oh, I've been in the space for a while. I've actually never heard of them. That's interesting. And that's more subtle shade where you can just be like, oh, they must not be very impressive if I haven't heard of them. You wouldn't say that part, but you're going to say like, oh, Acme Corp? Huh? No, I haven't heard of them. It's funny. I've been in the space for a while. Name doesn't ring a bell. So I've never heard of them. It's a tiny status ping. Somebody told me they did X. Did you hear that? Did they tell you about that? And then the final thing you can do is, oh yeah, we have a lot of clients actually come to us. We've had a couple clients in the last couple of months come to us that mentioned them. Their name does ring a bell. A couple clients came to us after they left that company. I don't know why though. I didn't ask. I'd be curious. And that just plants doubts, but again, you're not attacking. You're just saying, hey guys, this is what happened. Number 5, handle it when it appears. This is a big mistake I see a lot of salespeople do. Reps let competitor objections just sit silently on the call. And this actually goes for any objection, guys. Anytime someone potentially brings up an objection or you think they may have a concern, address it and handle it right then and there. Don't let it fester. Because if you let it fester, it inevitably will blow up at the end of the call and it'll blow up your sale. So think about it. If you're talking to a buddy and he says, yeah, I'm thinking about getting divorced, and you just said, yeah, cool. Anyway, did you see that Patriots game? He is not going to bring it up again because you lost trust because you're not listening. So when someone says in passing or just throws out a subtle bit of a question or a subtle bit of a fear, you want to address it right there and say, oh, did you just say that you were worried about their ethical business practices? Tell me more about that. What did you mean when you said that? Pick it up right then and there, open it up, see if it's a real deal. If it is a real deal, if it is a real objection, smash it right there. Tie things down early. After explaining pricing, does that pricing seem reasonable? Is that in the ballpark? After explaining the model, does that structure make sense? Does it seem helpful for you? After explaining the guarantee, does that seem fair enough? Is that guarantee going to help you get to your goals? If you handle objections as they appear, then I need to talk to others as an objection becomes weaker. Anything that they say to get off the call becomes weaker if you've dealt with all of their concerns and hesitations throughout the entire call. Again, guys, your job is to reduce uncertainty to the minimum possible level before the close. Here is the final reframe. Guys, when someone says they want to speak to other competitors, it's usually that they don't understand the value, they don't fully feel urgency, they don't trust you yet, or they've bought into this just generic model of, oh, shop around, talk to 6 vendors, and then decide. It's rarely about fairness, guys. If your discovery was shallow, if the pain wasn't quantified, if you didn't get the urgency, if the consequences of inaction weren't built, of course they're going to want to shop. Strong discovery is going to reduce competitor objections just like it reduces every other objection. Weak discovery is going to amplify them. Now, of course, the more you are in B2B, especially in mid-market or enterprise, the more this is just a vendor selection process. So that's what the Excel spreadsheet that I have linked below for free is going to help you with. If you're dealing with more of those just like procedural buying processes, you can use that spreadsheet. It'll help you. And you have to accept there's going to be a certain amount of just procedural corporate buying where they do talk to 6 or 7 vendors. But the tools and techniques I've given you in this video are going to help you set yourself up to win a lot more of those deals than you used to. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, make a comment comment down below telling me how attractive I am, how much you like my hair, all those things really help the algorithm and my ego, which is even more important. So let's talk about a summary. Let's summarize it really quick. Don't fight the calendar, win the criteria, turn differentiators into questions, use the favorite close to lock the return path, educate and subtly contrast with light shade, hearsay, and then tie down objections as they appear. And remember, guys, you don't win by preventing them from shopping. You win by owning the criteria and being upstream of all their decision making. They're shopping with your scoring sheet in their head. This is decision architecture. This has been great chatting with you guys, and I hope you'll stick around for the next video coming up right now. If you need more help with this, by the way, you can go ahead and click at the other links in my description of this video and see if my company can help you.